atraviesan por una etapa bien importante en sus vidas. Casi 19 meses de estar en una lejanía física de las escuelas. Una lejanía física que no solamente les produjo, yo creo que mucha tristeza, les produjo angustia, les produjo impaciencia, todos esos aspectos que nuestros alumnos fueron almacenando en su mente, en su organismo, por esa lejanía de sus compañeros, de sus maestros, pues les ha dejado una huella emocional que ahora con la presencia de ellos en las escuelas y con la palabra sabia de ustedes, ellos poco a poco irán soltando ese estado emocional en que se encuentran para poder dar paso a todos los conocimientos y a todas las acciones académicas que en un momento dado se ofrecen en nuestras escuelas secundarias. Ustedes como maestros de Nuevo León y especialmente como presidentes de Academia de Inglés, pues van a tener la oportunidad justamente de encaminarlos y orientarlos hacia esa apertura de una nueva lengua, tanto los de primero, los de segundo y los de tercero. Entonces, ustedes realmente forman una columna muy importante, una columna académica dentro de las escuelas. Ahora vamos a dar paso a todas las estrategias y dinámicas que los maestros de inglés de aquí del departamento técnico tienen para ustedes. Quiero mencionarles que la Academia de Inglés está conformada por especialistas, jefes de enseñanza, jefes de asignatura y docentes con funciones de asesoría. Precisamente la maestra Esther Noemí Medellín, que tiene bastante experiencia en el ámbito de la lengua de inglés. El maestro Héctor Villegas Jiménez, también experimentado maestro en estos menesteres. La maestra Silvia Ernestina Chávez Palacios y la maestra Bertalicia Guerrero Sáenz. Son nuestros 4 maestros que forman la Academia de Inglés y que en esta mañana compartirán con ustedes las metodologías, los enfoques, las estrategias y una serie de actividades que ustedes seguramente se llevarán y las pondrán en práctica con sus alumnos en sus escuelas. Por lo tanto, yo los saludo con mucho respeto, mucho reconocimiento y recuerden que nuestras autoridades educativas están precisamente haciendo el seguimiento y están pendientes de todas estas actividades que son sustantivas dentro del ámbito educativo. Vamos a dejar la palabra precisamente al maestro Villegas. El maestro Héctor Villegas, que está por aquí presente, iniciará las actividades y pues enhorabuena y adelante a comunicarnos en inglés. Recuerden cómo está el proyecto de ellos que dice, el inglés es, ¿cómo es el inglés? El inglés es divertido. Entonces, vamos a hacer que esta segunda lengua sea divertida para nuestros alumnos. Adelante, maestro Villegas.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join us. I'm going to share a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, here we go. This is Héctor Villegas Jiménez. So glad to see everybody. We are excited that you have joined us this morning. Before we get started, I want to say on behalf of the Technical Department of Secondary Education, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today in this second term meeting for English teachers. It's great to have you with us. The main purposes of this meeting are, in first place, to share some ideas to build a strategy to incorporate socio-emotional education into English classes. And the second one is to share some proposals to carry out the contents of the work. That's why our agenda includes two main items. After the welcome words, we'll have a walk through the socio-emotional topic. Then we'll share some ideas to develop the curricular contents for first, second, and third grades. And at the end of the meeting, we will ask you to fill out a survey and in this way, register your attendance. Let's get started. It's time to see. It's time to talk about social emotional education. Next, I'm going to share with you interesting information about social emotional education that you could use when you build your own strategy to incorporate it in your teaching. Amid this global COVID-19 pandemic and the different modalities you may be teaching on distance education or face-to-face or a combination of them, probably some of your students are enjoying these ways of learning and they feel happy, calm, and motivated to continue with their learning process. It's also possible that many of them are experiencing some levels of stress due to difficulties they are facing in communicating with their teachers or meeting the expectations of the grade level they are attending, or because they feel separated from their friends and stuck at home. Others may be concerned about getting sick or because their families are experiencing financial problems, illnesses, or the loss of a loved one. Most of our students are going through a confusing and complicated time of learning. Fortunately, there are some tools that we can use to support them by incorporating social emotional education in our teaching. In this way, we can improve their learning. Regarding our study programs, Aprendizajes Clave para la Educación Integral 2017, socio-emotional education is a learning process through which our students integrate into their lives the concepts, values, attitudes, and skills that allow them, among other benefits, to understand and manage their emotions. Incorporating socio-emotional education can help you as a teacher too. It can help you better connect with your students. The emotional component is more critical than ever. All of us can use strategies, tactics, and activities that address social skills, such as those suggested on the website of the Secretariat of Public Education within the National Strategy for the Safe Return to Basic Education Schools. Find activities and tools that address socio-emotional development in the school context. That's important because our students aren't born knowing how to manage emotions, solve problems, and get along with others. These kinds of skills must be developed, and you can work to help your students learn them. It's a great time to explore social emotional education. Developing socio-emotional education is not something new. It was an important part of previous schools' councils. Let's go back in time to the moment in that we had the 5th school council of the last school year. Okay. If you remember, among the purposes of the meeting, there was one that said, develop strategies to promote, together with families, learning environments at home in which the emotional well-being of students is sought as a basis for their learning and development. It was suggested to put into practice some tools of socio-emotional support for education in emergency context. For the 3 levels of basic education, named caring for others is taking care of yourself. For secondary education level, we have, among others, here it is. Let me move this. Okay, here we go. Okay. This strategy is called I Can Hear It, which helps students to exercise concentration. Another one is called Feeling the Weight of the Body, which purpose is for students learning to calm. There is also one called At the End, the Sun Comes Out, with the same purpose. And the last example of these great tools is named, okay, here it is. Turn crisis into opportunities. And its intention is to help build experience and learn how to turn crisis into opportunities. Okay, next, I'm going to share with you 10 more actions that you could use in your strategy. They are meant to be used at the beginning, during, or at the end of your English classes. Yeah. Okay, number 1, if you haven't done it yet, consider the possibility of using background images for your virtual classes. Aquí, okay. Keeping the same background without any novelty might become boring to students after a few lessons. The best alternative is to use online education virtual backgrounds, which gives you additional privacy for your calls by hiding what is behind you and replacing it with a picture. With a virtual background, students won't be distracted by a book title, a family photo, or something on the wall. They'll just have to focus on the conversation. And fun virtual backgrounds are also great for bringing a bit of humor into your classes. And better than this, you can create your own custom background images, like this lovely example provided by Ms. Almadelia Ramos from Secondary 83, Manuel Rodriguez Vasquez in Guadalupe. Number 2. Start the day with a check-in. Greetings are always a healthy way to start the morning or afternoon. Before starting your lessons or activities, take a minute to do virtual greetings, such as air fist bumps, hard hands, or air high five. You can set a form of greeting or let your students choose the one they prefer. Make it a goal to start each day with a personal connection. It doesn't need to be a time-consuming or elaborate procedure. It could be as simple as giving a warm greeting to welcome each person as they arrive in the morning, because it's a simple thing that can have a tremendously positive impact on the rest of the day for both you and your students. A special greeting starts the day on a positive note. Smiles appear when students get to choose a greeting that allows their individual personalities to shine through. It serves to restart a day that may have gotten off to a rough start. A greeting allows strong relationships with your students. This sense of belonging is key to ensuring students feel safe and ready to learn. Finally, a morning greeting routine provides students the opportunity to practice communication skills, such as looking at each other or using a friendly voice and body language, speaking clearly and audibly, listening and waiting for one's turn. Now let's go to the third idea. Consider using positive phrases. Positive affirmations are the positive words we say to ourselves. These words can provide assurance, encouragement, and support through tough times. Positive affirmations can be a healthy way to start the morning, or even act as a coping strategy in stressful moments. By using positive thinking, students can build confidence, calm emotions, and refocus for the day. Use positive affirmations lists to help students develop a positive voice and make their own list. We can tell the students that the thought of the day will be one of the list, or assign a number to each of them. The list can be extended to the number of students we have and arranged in a different way for the next class, so that each day they will have a different one, and tell them that according to the phrase they got, in this way their day will be. Another possibility is to let them choose the thought with which they most identify. Number 4, literacy, math, and other academic skills are essential for children's lifelong success. But without intentional social emotional education development, students may not learn how to process their emotions and connect with others in a healthy way. That's where mindfulness can come in. If you are not sure exactly what mindfulness is, here is a quick recap. Mindfulness involves both an awareness and acceptance of the world around us and our internal experiences. Mindful people tend to focus more on the present instead of ruminating on the past or future. And they cultivate a curiosity towards their thoughts, emotions, or physical sensations. Explicitly teaching mindful breathing is providing students with a skill that will be with them for life. In every situation they will ever encounter, guide the students in taking 3 slow, deep breaths in and out. Encourage them to think about how the breath feels, answering the following questions silently in their minds. Can you feel the air moving in through your nose? Can you feel it moving out? Can you hear your breath? What is sound like? Providing students with an object to focus is a great way to encourage concentration during mindfulness activities. You can use pinwheels in conjunction with the mindful breathing exercise above mentioned. making the pinwheel spin with every exhale, or bubble wands and soap to make bubbles. Now, number 5, okay, playing games. Games are another brain break that can also serve to teach socio-emotional skills. Play bingo to work on attention and listening skills. Use charades to work on social cues. Play Simon Says to practice attention, listening, and self-control. Another excellent option is playing guessing games. Not only are these breaks essentials to everyone's social and emotional well-being, but they also provide another opportunity to build relationships even at a distance. You might use the last minutes of your class to play games, celebrate birthdays or holidays with students. You can find some guessing games in Red Eye's Facebook group in the file section. I'm going to show you some of them. This is the procedure. And these are some examples of riddles. These are the clues. I'm not a bird, but I can fly. My second clue, I eat insects and fruit. Do you know the answer? Another clue, I am dark. I sleep upside down. Sure, you get the answer. A bat. Another riddle you can find in Facebook group is this. I am yellow and brown. I am the same size as an apple. You can't eat me. You hit me with a racket. That's a tennis ball. Okay, these were some examples of riddles. Okay, now let's go to the next idea. Our students need to share about their own lives. During distance learning, so much downtime is taken away from the quick chats before class to the lunch discussions with peers. You can give students some of that time back with a scheduled weekly show and tell. Allow time for students to share something they've done, a new activity they've tried, something they learned, or anything else. What is important here is that these shouldn't have to relate to academics. Allow kids to show off their dirt bike, take a tour of their house, showcase a new trick they taught their dog, or talk about how they beat a level in a video game. This sharing time is essential to building confidence and a positive classroom climate. Okay. While whole class and small group meetings are important, individual check-ins with students, that is the next idea, can give a great deal of insight into how they are doing. Schedule short weekly check-ins with the students to ask how they are doing, what's going well, and what they need help with. In some cases, teachers may not have the time or flexibility to meet individually with all students. If that's the case, meeting individually can at least be a targeted intervention for the students who need a little bit of extra support along the way. Use these individual check-ins to talk with the students about how they are feeling. Consider what format and frequency will work best for your students. Students who are falling behind on assignments might need more frequent check-ins. Finding out where they are struggling can help you suggest new strategies. Another idea is the next one. As educators, kids and teens are always looking at us as a role model. Even in difficult circumstances, and maybe especially in difficult circumstances, it's important to model flexibility and perseverance. Be mindful of the words and tone you use when discussing distance learning. Even though a distance learning situation is far from perfect, but the mindset you start with sets the stage for how students deal with the situation too. Number 9, going through a difficult situation requires perseverance and resilience. A great way to teach about adversity is researching famous athletes, actors, and others who have persevered through challenging times. For example, I don't know if you know that Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine what might have been if he had given up. This is such an important lesson for students as they are coping with challenging times of their own. There are some exceptionally inspiring people in this world who constantly show us that hard work, adaptability, and a positive attitude are the greatest advantages you can have. Look at these examples who have of these people who have overcome life's toughest obstacles to achieve some unbelievable things. Now, number 10. Okay. This is about parents. Keep parents involved in a positive way. The relationship is going to play a huge role in student success. When school and families work together, children can become more engaged with their schoolwork, achieve better academically, stay in school longer, and develop better social skills. Effective partnerships enrich well-being, achievement, and engagement by focusing on students' needs. One nice thing we can do is sending congratulation notes to parents when a student does a good piece of homework or has a perfect attendance. This note could go to the refrigerator's door and becomes a talking point when having dinner. Okay, we could also help parents to support homework. A simple video modeling some pronunciation of phrases of words. This video created by the class teacher and uploaded on the learning platform with parents given access can secure engagement. Okay, previously. To end this part, I will say a final consideration you might take into account. Self-care is important for everyone, including educators. Model self-care by spending the time you need on yourself. That most likely means setting up boundaries for when you will and will not be available to support students at home. It also means giving yourself time to take a walk, exercise, read, and spend time with family. Thank you so much. And now I'm sending over to Ms. Esther Medellin, who is going to talk about the contents for the first grade. Have an excellent day.
Morning, everyone. It's nice to be with you again and to see you as well, because that means that you are okay, you are in good health. I'm going to talk about first grade, especially about the second term, the social practices of the language that we're going to see, the achievements and the activities. What we have here is that we have for this second term 70 days. 70 days to see 15 achievements, which are from the 4 social practices of the language. Writing a dialogue about a silent movie script, making forecasts about others, write notes to make human body systems charts, and express likes, dislikes, and complaints in a dialogue. So 70 days for 15 achievements. That's our suggestion to you, to see 4 social practices of the language. This distribution of contents, we have it on Redeyes as well, so you can download it. Some of you already know it. We change it every year because we take into consideration the number of days that you have available. So for this term, we have 4 social practices of the language. Last year, on this term, it was 3 social practices of the language. Now, let's start with the first one. The product is script for a silent movie, okay? And the social practice of the language is highlighted in bold, which is composes dialogues and interventions for a silent movie, okay? And there are only three achievements for this product and this social practices of the language. We're gonna see the first one, which is revises silent films. Now, we see there achievement number 1, revises silent films. And what I did in this particular time is that I break out the achievement. I break it down, and I break it down in verbs and in nouns, okay? Verbs, revises, and silent films will be my nouns, okay? Now, remember that we have to develop the competency in our students, so we have to work with the to know, to do, and the be, the being with the language. So students have to know, and they have to apply it, to do it, okay? And they have to be through the whole process, okay? So silent films, what's a script? Because they have to write, to do at the end of the product will be a script. What is a script? Perhaps our students don't know what's a script, and we have to develop from that stage of knowledge of our students to upper stages. What a silent movie, perhaps they don't know what a silent movie is. They have to recognize, so they can fulfill this achievement, revises silent films, they have to recognize topic, purpose, and intended audience. Now, I'm gonna stop right there, just a minute, to emphasize that recognizing topic, purpose, and intended audience is seen throughout all secondary. So you'll see it in some social practices in first grade, in second grade, and in third grade. You don't see it just in first grade and then you forget about them. No. So it's important to you to work as a team with the other colleagues you have in the school, from second grade teachers and third grade teachers, to how to build the strategy that you can use for the students to recognize topic, purpose, and intended audience. What else do they have to know? Well, they have to know who are the actors, the secondary actors, the primary actors, the relationship they have to be within scenarios and activities, and the sound effects, okay? I put some example of a sound effect in the project NEM, New Mexican School, that we posted on the Redeyes Facebook, to make like rain with rice and an aluminum pan. So Perhaps you can use sound effects and our students can like get together with us with this, because probably if they don't want to speak, they can do the sound effects of the silent film, of the short scene. It's a scene. It's not the complete movie. Okay. Then they have to identify and see what type of actions are there in the movie. Is it tragic, comedy, etc. And the nonverbal language. I'm going to speak about nonverbal language just a few minutes later on. Okay. Okay. Why it doesn't move? Wait a minute. Here, the arrow. My fault. Okay. I'm showing you right here a script for a silent movie. See, sometimes we get so complicated that it's a lot of stuff we have to see, and the product is more simpler than we thought it was. So the script for a silent movie, we have the time, a column for time, from 0 seconds to second number 20. The picture, scene number 1, int, interior, ext, exterior, beds, kitchen. Then we put the description, a short description of what's happening on the scene. Beth shops carrots while Kevin leans at the fridge playing with a Rubik's Cube. Sound effects, no music. It's only a dialogue. And what's the dialogue? Look at the dialogue. Where's Ben? In his room. Call him down for dinner. And she's placing the plates. And then comes Dad and she says, he already ordered pizza. See? It's as simple as that. And you're going to have the presentation as well as the file for this script for a silent movie. If you want to use it, there will be the file in Redice as well, okay? Then we have another activity that you can do. So if the students at the beginning of the lesson, they have an idea about silent movies. Oh, great, that's great. Then you can continue doing the compare and contrast activity where they compare and contrast silent films and modern movies. What's one characteristic of a silent film? What's a characteristic of modern movies? Well, modern movies use computer animation. What about silent movies? Did they use computer animation? Okay. Make it 3 characteristics. Don't make a long list, only with 3 so they can compare and contrast what was in the past and now in the present with all the technology that we have right now. Okay, that's one activity you can do as well. Now, if you want to put a silent movie, you want to give them the silent movie, but you don't have like internet in your school, you're going to say, how am I going to work this? How is my student going to see a silent movie? Well, first of all, you have the link for right down there in the slide. You have the link for the presentation, okay, for the movie, the kid, okay? So they can see it at home if they have internet service. If they not, well, you can take pictures, shots of the most important actions of the movie so the students can see the movie. See, you see, silent movies have title cards. That's what their name is when the woman whose sin was motherhood. Okay, that's the title card. Okay, and no sounds comes with it, only the pictures. Okay, so you take the most pictures of the most important events so they can start imagining what's happening, what comes next, and so on. Well, you see, the woman came out of the hospital with a baby. And then she's in the park, all lonely with her baby. Where's the dad? Where's the family? Where's the mom? Where's the dad? Where's the sister? Nobody's there, okay? Then you see the chimney where a picture of a woman is burned down. Uh-oh, what does it mean? What do you think does it mean that the picture of the woman is in the chimney burning down? Perhaps the man who is the father. So let's continue with our work. All right. So I think I I was talking about facial expressions of nonverbal language. You see the picture here, the image, because in silent movies, there's an emphasis on the thing called nonverbal language, because they do speak, so they have to do the expressions of sadness and leaving the child in the car, etc. Oh, there we go. We continue with the story, you see? So the kids can imagine what will happen next, or you can put a blank on the baby crying, or what is the man doing, etc. You can work it in many different ways. Okay, so unit 27. Okay, so one thing you can do is to ask questions to the students. They see the movie or they see the pictures. If you don't have internet, they see only the pictures in a PowerPoint presentation or with some copies, whatever way you want to work with it. And you start, is this a silent movie? What's the purpose of the film? Okay, purpose. Now we're gonna emphasize on pie. You see that apple pie we have there? Well, that apple pie is for purpose. P stands for persuade. I stands for inform. E is for entertain. So the purpose of the film, what's the purpose of the film, of the kid? To persuade, to inform, or to entertain, okay? I think with that acronym, you won't forget, and our students won't forget, the meaning of purpose. We have 3 purposes from authors. Any kind of author, of a new novel, of a story, of a film, a filmmaker. Persuade, inform, or entertain. What's the topic? Who's the audience? Okay, for the movie kid, who will be the ideal audience? I think the whole family. Who are the main characters? Who are the secondary characters? Although in silent movies, there's no name of the characters, our students can refer them as the man with the hat, the woman, the mother of the baby. That's another way of putting it, the baby. Secondary characters. What type of actions on the film are? The action of leaving the baby in the car. Is it tragical, comedy? What type of action is that? Etc., etc. Now, if, that's one way to see it, okay? To see the revising silent movies, okay? You put the movie or you put it in the PowerPoint and you ask the questions orally. Another way to do it is by reading a short paragraph and then you ask the questions with giving them 3 options. For example, this is like a synopsis of a movie that, well, not a synopsis, but a review of a movie. The movie Great Dane, A Dog's Tale came out last week. I went to see it and I recommend that you save your money. Don't bother seeing it. It was so boring. I practically fell asleep. If you want to see a good dog movie, watch Beagletown instead. Great Dane wasn't very good. So what's the author's purpose of this short paragraph? Pie, remember pie, to persuade, to inform, or to entertain. In this case, it's to, yes, you answer, to persuade you not to go to see the movie. Okay, more examples that I'm gonna give you. Well, if our kids don't like, because remember we have to consider what our students like. If our kids don't like the black and white movies and all that stuff, well, they can use like a scene from Mr. Bean, okay? Or a scene from a movie that it's modern. They put the mute, they select the scene, which they are going to do the script, okay? It could be Jumanji or other type of action movies they like, okay? So there are more examples, more things that they can use and not only stick to the black and white movies if our students don't like black and white movies, okay? Now we go to the second achievement, which is understands main ideas in general sense, okay? So I break down the achievement. Skills, understands. Concept are the nouns on the achievement, main idea in general sense. So what do I have to think before planning? Okay, what are main ideas? Okay, where they are in the text. Normally main ideas are at the first line of the text or the last time. Sometimes they do not appear and you have to infer them, okay? What is general sense? Because sometimes our students want to know everything and understand the whole thing in the paragraph or the whole thing in the dialogue. But having a general sense is fine. They even do this, like in Spanish, it happens to us as well. We don't understand probably some of the words that are there in the newspaper, but we have the general sense of what the word is, okay? Although we don't have the dictionary there to investigate, okay? Another thing you can do for the students to achieve understands main ideas and general sense is to anticipate the general sense and main ideas. How am I going to anticipate? Well, let me put it right there. Look at the picture. What does it tell you? Well, it's a child and a man, like they are hiding from some person. What person is that they're hiding for? Is it the policeman? Because you see the way the expression, the body language of the policeman said, hey, I got you, I found you, and you're not gonna go anywhere. To the jail. No. Well, that's my imagination, okay? Another thing you can do is to besides looking at the pictures, to identify very quickly in the paragraph what words are repeated. And now they can anticipate, but very quickly, now they can anticipate what the thing is about, the paragraph is about, anticipating the general sense and main ideas or the topic. Remember, for the main ideas is topic. First, you have to find the topic, and then you go on to main ideas. You have to use also the pictures and repetition of words, so then you can start reading and identify the main idea. But you have to first do some of the steps that I mentioned before so the students can grasp the main idea. So here's a graphic organizer we can use in our schools. So if they have to do of this paragraph, which is 6-line paragraph, the main ideas and the details. First, let's start with the details. The mother leaves the kid in the car. The tramp finds the baby. The doctor finds the kid. The doctor reports to authorities, and the man put kid in the asylum. Those are like details. But what's the main idea? Will the Trump and the mother find the kid? According to the paragraph as well. Another way to work this, the main ideas is, if our students are having problem, well, why don't they write down keywords and phrases from the paragraph? Write 20 of them. And then they start making a summary using those 20 words. And afterwards, they can start building on the main idea. So those are the two suggestions, okay? Then you have here a link to Inglés Primer Grado Guión Didáctico Tutorial. Well, there's a part where in the Guión Didáctico Tutorial that I'm not going to show right now because I didn't put it in my USB when I was coming from the other classroom to this one. And in this case, it's from the big book. But the big book also talks about one of the achievement is main ideas in general sense. Now, in the Guión Didáctico Tutorial appears how to work with main ideas, and I give you more examples. You can use the same material that you have for the big book in the Guión Didáctico Tutorial and use them as well in this one, okay? Main ideas in general sense are also seen in first grade, second grade, and third grade. And the purpose of the author. So if you get together as colleagues in the same school, Work together. Okay, we have to work this. How are we going to work it? That will be perfect for our students. The last one is produces dialogues and interventions. That's the achievement. Let's break it down. The skills is produced, the concept, dialogues, and interventions. Well, what parts of the dialogue? What are the parts? The beginning, the middle, and the closing thing of the dialogue. Let's identify the parts of the dialogue. What are interventions, okay? We have to use connectors and adverbs in this one. So not make like simple sentences, but try to use at least 3 or 4 connectors, at least 5 adverbs. Propose sentences to compose the dialogues and order the sentence according to the sequence. Let me give you some examples. This is a picture. I know it's from stick figures, not very appealing to our students nowadays, okay? But I'm not good at drawing, so I got this, okay? It's a story, and our students have to put it in the correct sequences. You see that I wrote down, finally, Joe drove very fast and got away. First, a nurse from the hospital called George to tell him his wife was in labor. Okay, as you can see right there, I'm using connectors, okay? And then he sat down and waited impatiently. Okay, not all the sentence begins with connectors. So that's why I'm telling you, use some 3 or 4 connectors and at least 3 or 4 adverbs. So the students can work and put it into practice, okay? They have to order according. So what's number 1? For number 1 is first a nurse from the hospital called. What's the second one? He immediately arrived to the hospital. That's the second one. So that's order sequence, order sentences according to the sequences. After ordering, they can write a dialogue about this short story. Because this is like a normal text. It's not a dialogue. They are only sentences describing pictures. But after, if the students finish this, they can start, okay, what do you think in the phone the nurse told Joe? And to do the dialogue. That could be another activity they can do beyond this one. The assessment. What do we have to assess in this social practice of the language? We have to assess the sentences to compose dialogues. We have to assess the script with the dialogues, okay? Let me give you 2 examples. One is a checklist that you can give to your children or to your students before. In my sentences, did I use capitals? And they put yes, no. Did I use connectors? Yes, no. Did I use the correct verb? Yes, no. Did I use pronouns or names? Was it on the topic? Okay, that's another thing. So giving this beforehand to the students makes the job for the students for making the sentences or the script with the dialogues easier, okay? Because they are having into account all the things that you have to check when you are assessing them. Another one is to make some exit slips. What are exit slips? Well, there are just 1 or 2 questions we can give them at the final part of the lesson or the class. What did I learn today? Why was it important? To make the relationships, so they can make the relationships of the achievement you told them at the beginning and what they learned in the class, during the class, or during a period of classes, okay? Forecast. This is the other, let me check the time. This is, I was going to finish at 11:37. I'm passing 3 minutes more, but I have to make up time for the rest of the information I have. Produces forecast about others, okay? What's the product? Forecast. Revises written forecast. That's my first achievement. Okay, I'm gonna break it. Revises forecast. What's a forecast? How do we make a forecast? What's the topic, purpose, and intended audience? When revising for this, when the student is revising examples. If he gets to this achievement, he has to see the topic, purpose, and intended audience of the forecast. And he has also have to see what are sentences, affirmative and negative, in a forecast. Example, how can we use them? Well, a forecast can be not only a cookie, a fortune cookie, where it has your fortune, but as well as a horoscope. Aries, you will find frivolity to be extremely rewarding on a day like this. Taurus, use your incredible perception and intuition to find the best solution at school. You can adapt the horoscope, real horoscope, and put it in the context of the school. You won't fail. Adding the will and the won't, okay? You are patient, clever, and hardworking. You will find love this week, not will, this week, okay? So the students see the horoscope. They might be interested in the horoscope, you know, because some do believe in the horoscope, okay? You can highlight the expressions that tell you what will happen to you, and you will find frivolity. You won't fail. You will find love, okay? And you see the affirmative and the negative sentences as well. What's the purpose of the author for writing horoscope? Is it pie? What's the pie? Is it to persuade? Is it to inform? Or is it to entertain? Well, some of our students may say, it's to entertain us, teacher. We don't believe in it. But some will say, it's to inform us what will happen in our week, okay? So it depends on your student. But horoscopes, I know for sure that your students will like horoscopes, okay? And it's a great way to put the predictions, okay? Identify forms to express future actions while listening. Okay, identify and listen. Those are the skills. The concept, future actions, okay? So let's start. This is suggestions. Stand up, okay? You read a long list or you read a paragraph. Every time they hear a sentence in the future, they stand up. You start reading the paragraph. It could be a paragraph from the textbook, okay? That's one. Or every time they hear a sentence in the future that you read, they put thumbs up instead of standing up, okay? Every time they see, they hear a prediction or a forecast, they lift up a yellow Post-it. Well, I put a green Post-it, but I don't have a green Post-it right here with me. So I'm using the yellow Post-it. It could be any color. Musical chairs, and you're gonna say, how are we gonna work with musical chairs? You have to use music, don't you? Yes, but instead of using music or use a song that has the future on it, you put the song on the tape recorder or whatever device you have there. You put the song with the wheel that has the wheel on purpose. Well, not on purpose, but because the song is with the wheel in the future. And every time they hear an expression with the future, they sit down, okay? They sit down in the musical. They go round, 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 round with the music going along. And when they hear the wheel, they sit down. And one is left down, okay? Another thing you can do instead of the song, you can use, you read a text. You read a text aloud, and every time they hear a sentence with will, they sit down on the chair, okay? Ask and understand question to understand forecast, okay? Again, we break it down. Skills, mix and answers. That's what our students have to do. Make an answer. Writing question and answer question. It could be orally or written, and the questions. Use more time expressions like next morning, next day, next week, next month. write questions and sentences that describe future situations, and revise spelling. Okay, I put here, why not do it in a game? Okay, this is like a game, you do it with a table. I did this on my own. Okay, what word do you use to form the future? Okay, if they land on this, and then they throw the dice again, what is the negative form of will? And they land on number 5, you miss a turn. Or number 6, you draw the, toss the dice and it comes number 6. Where will you go on your next vacation? Okay, ask one question in the future, make it more like lively with a game for the students to practice. I know that you have to first see the questions in class, but like to wrap it up, you can use the game, all right? Assessment. What do you do for the assessment? Well, you have to assess the list with future situations. You have to assess sentences describing future situations, and you have to assess a dialogue with forecast. That would be another way to assess our students, dialogue with forecast. If the sum comes up, what will I do? If I won $1 million, according to the picture, what will I do? Okay, or the students, their imaginations. Now, the last social practice of the language for me will be write notes to make a chart about human body system. Okay, and those are the 4 assessments. We break it down, revise and understand human body and systems. One thing that I would like to point out is before we started giving this talk to you from 8 to 9:30, the biology teachers were working with you, with the biology teachers, and they were working with digestive systems. Why don't we relate what they are doing with the digestive system in this second term with what we are going to see in the second term and relate it to the digestive system? Because it says revises and understands info about human body systems. It doesn't mention what body system. So if you want to, and if they prepare some material for the digestive system, why don't we use that in our favor and for our students? Oh, because they made a chart, and that same chart, we can use them in our English classes. But instead of putting the names in Spanish, let's put the names in English, okay? What do they have to do to get to this achievement, which is revises and understands information about human body systems? They have to identify new words. Yeah, new words that are specialized and related to human body systems, like throat, stomach, mouth, gland, cells, those types of new words for our students. The topic, purpose, and intended audience, the relationship between pictures and text, difference between systems and aparatos, because in Spanish, they call them aparatos del sistema humano, and in English, we call them body systems. I think sistemas in Spanish is broader for the Spanish, and for us, aparato is the same as body system. And when in Spanish they use systems, it's a broader thing for them, okay? And what are human body systems? Okay, so a suggestion I'm gonna give you is when they come up all the way and do the final part, which is the presentation of a chart with the human body system, use Canva. Canva has some, is free. Well, it also costs, but if you want to add more things to the Canva, but to the infographic you can do there. But our students, and it's user-friendly also, Canva is user-friendly, and our students can use this instrument now that they are using more technology because of the pandemic, that we had to hug all the technology to continue educating our students and for they to learn, well, why not continue using some of the technology? Not forget the whole technology. They can use them if they have access to that resource in the computer. It's free of charge. So it doesn't have to be like so extensive, the chart of the human. It's very like, make it more simpler, like putting the name of the system, of the body system, what are the organs, and what are the functions. That's it. Don't get into more trouble and more like technical, or like if you were a doctor or you're studying medicine. No, it's only the system, what are the organs, and what is the function of each organ for the system, okay? So we won't overwhelm our students with information, but sometimes they're gonna say, teacher, es que es mucha información, ¿cómo le hago para hacerlo en inglés? You know that. Now, the second achievement makes human body system questions and answers. Give examples, model the questions, and reflect about well-being. Okay, for the assessment is descriptions of human body systems. That's the evidence. The human body system chart. Okay, that's the product. Dialogue from questions and answer about human bodies. Okay, the human body system. Does my chart have pictures? Does it have relevant information? Does it have capital letters where necessary? Is the right format? Is it the right format? Did my teacher told me to do it in the notebook? Did she told me to do it in cardboard? Did he told me to do it in Canvas? That sort. Is the chart appealing to an audience? Does it have a title? Is that chart, who's the audience for that chart? Or the chart they made? Is it for kindergarten students? Is it for secondary students? Or is it for adults or for more professional students? Okay, so that ends right now. I'm sorry, it doesn't end right there. I have to continue with the fourth social practice of the language. I'm very, very sorry. Exchanges, likes and dislikes, and compliments in an interview. And those are my four achievements. What do I do first? Well, let's, in the first achievement, listen and revises. You see that they repeat revises, listening and revising, likes and dislikes in dialogues. Listen and revise, that's a skill. Dialogues, interview, likes and dislikes. What's an interview? How do I express likes? How do I express dislikes? Identify topic, purpose, and intended audience. You see that we go up from one social practice of the language, then on the other one, it doesn't say topic, purpose, and audience, but on the other one, it does. Every other social practice of the language has the topic, purpose, and audience. And identify in the dialogue context clues. Okay, I'm gonna stick right there with context clue. What are context clue and how am I going to work with context clue? The type of register, is it formal or informal? The speech register in the dialogue, and determine the sequence of the speech. Here is the link for on audio, and it's about this dialogue in particular, and there's the audio, okay? So it's about leisure activities. We have to focus on leisure activities, okay? They can underline, cross out the things that the sentences that express what they like or they don't like. I love that class. I enjoy drawing and painting, okay? Et cetera, and there's the audio, okay? And then they can practice. One thing we do observe when we go to visit schools is that there's not a lot of speaking activities in the classroom. There are questions you answer, and that. But what about paring their students down, pair our students down so they can have time to practice English in a conversation? Perhaps they can use this as a model and share instead in your spare time, and then erase drawing and painting and put what they really like to do in their spare time, okay? And continue the conversation with what they like. But this will be like a model for them. Another will be this is another I told you that I was going to talk about context clue. What's a context clue? Okay. The context clue will be like this. During the context, we can identify the things, wait a minute, I have it right here. The things that give us the meaning of a word. Example. Perhaps our students don't know the word movie, action movie, the concept action movie. What's action movie? Okay, but do you read, why don't we watch an action movie instead? But what is that? You see that I love airplanes, stunts, fighting, crashes. You see, action movie is later on described like airplanes, stunts, fighting, crashes, okay? And then you can see also the picture. That's another context clue. So you have two context clue in that dialogue. One context clue for action movie is the picture. The other context clue for action movie is I love airplanes, stunts, fighting, and crashes. Those are context clue, okay? Context clue about leisure activities, okay? In this case was for movies, action movies, okay? There's another example. I look out the window. All I could see was white. The ground was white. The sky was white. My mother said, that's a blizzard. The schools will be closed today. Now, blizzard, it's underlined. The context shows the underlined word in the passage means heavy snowstorm, lots of sunshine, or heavy rainstorm, blizzard. Everything was white. Heavy snowstorm. That's the right one. And this finishes my intervention right now.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. It's nice to see you again. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Sylvia Chavez, and I will try to explain the dosage second quarter and second grade of secondary school. Okay. First of all, in all your classes start of class motivation, learning, and ice break. How do you introduce, how do you motivate your students in each class? I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. You can say to your student, how are you feel today? How are you? How do you feel? Are you ready to learn something new and useful? Today we are going to read some topics in English. Are you ready? Expected learning, monologues, genre, and presentation. Comments, unknown experiences, and those of other in a conversation. You can ice break with a motivation with your students, and you can ask your students, what sport are you practicing? Swimming, soccer, basketball, football, baseball, running. Okay, in this page, you can, this is the teacher second grade. The teacher second grade, you can know the expected learning in this second quarter. In this second quarter, you have the social practice of the language, the expected learner, and the final product. Comparative table, monologues, infographic, and autobiographic. This is the topic. You have that in the second period, the second quarter in this time. The second period, the second period, expected learning. You have to try to your students learn, check out journalist news, read newspaper, contrast a story in several newspapers, social practice, social environment learning, family and community, social practice of the language. Compare the same new in various newspaper publication. Achievement, expected learning. Read newspaper, product, news comparison table. Okay, one of the topics you can try to your students is about the coronavirus. What are the symptoms? The symptoms of coronavirus. In the beginning, the coronavirus seems like it was primarily a respiratory illness. Many patients had fever and chills, were weak and tired, and coughed a lot. Through some people don't show any symptoms at all. Those who seem sick have pneumonia or acute respiratory distress syndrome and receive supplemental oxygen. You can try in internet the newspaper that you can find in internet, like American newspapers like US Today, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, the Guardian, the New York Times, the Angeles Times. You can find another ones. It doesn't matter. You can find in internet the Wall Street Journal in English, and your students can find the newspaper each day that is in internet. That is on internet. The final product comparative is, you can say to your students like a map, like a comparative map, the different states in English states. You can improve your vocabulary, and you can practice a comparative table with United States. How are the cases of coronavirus? Or you can choose another topic. It doesn't matter. Another topic on this second quarter is the monologues. The monologues, you can have the plan of monologues, present a monologue, promote feedback. Environment, academic and ludic, social practice of the language, improve a short monologue, and on an interesting topic. Achievement, expected learning. Check monologue year, plan a monologue, present a monologue. The product, the final product. Improvise monologue presentation. You can explain to your students the different types of monologues. Dramatic monologue, personal monologue, comic monologue, dramatic monologue. You can explain to your student the characteristics of the monologue, short story with beginning, middle, and end. That is a simple script story. The topics that you can explain to your students. They can choose the topic about family, friends, school, music, technology, etc. Remember, you can explain to your students a monologue, but you always first explain to your students, listen. You are the teacher, that your students have to listen to you first, 1, 2, or 3 times the monologue. Remember, listen, repeat it. Listen and repeat it. Right? This is an example. In this page, this is an example. Then a monologue example, but you can choose another one. It doesn't matter. But this is an example of monologue. You can find a lot of monologues of links about in YouTube monologues videos. This is one example that there are a lot of monologues in the internet, in YouTube. This is one of the samples, but you can choose another ones. It doesn't matter. What does Spectre Learn require? You can the project, the monologue for the sample theater arts. How do you evaluate? How do you evaluate your monologue? This is an example. This is an example of how you can evaluate a monologue. But you can do your rubric or your different topics or different evaluation that you can do with your students. Suggestion. This is an English rubric evaluation. What points to consider? Knowledge of the subject, preparation, posture, and eyes contact. Safety, voice, tone, volume, speed, fluency. Another topic you can explain to your students in the second period, in the second quarter, Spectre Learning is select and review materials, read and understand information, write information, and edit tests. In your program, you can see this topic: environment, academic and training, social practice of the language, paraphrase information for the operation of the machine or device. Achievement, selects and reviews materials, reads, understand information, write information, edit plain text. What the product? Infographic. The final product is infographic. In this imagine, you can see the definition of infographic is. You can choose a lot of infographic there are in internet or any topics that you want to choose for your students. The kind of infographic. Definition of infographic is a visual representation of a topic, idea of different area of knowledge. Recommendation for making an infographic. Remember, select the topic, make a writing sketch, select all the material like photos, imaging, etc. Narrative text, infographic order is very important. Title, header, text, body, photos, imagine, sequencing. Ready, let's start. You can do it. Motivated to your students, they can do the infographic. In this page, you can see other examples of infographic that you can, in the website, in YouTube, you can find in internet, infographic. You can choose another one. I give it to you an idea. Another topic, in order achievement, and this semester, in this second quarter, expected learning is listen conversation about personal experiences. Understand general sense, general ideas, and details. Share personal experiences in a conversation. Environment, family, and community. Social practice of the language. Comments on own experiences and those of others in a conversation. Achievement. Listen, understand, share conversation, and personal experience, main ideas. Product, final product. Autobiographical anecdote. Okay, this is an example of links you can find in internet. Are the links, example of a biography. Autobiography, video presentation. My autobiography, autobiographic writing, etc. What are the strategies? What are the strategies that you can recommend? Then I recommended, you can have another, but I recommended this. Use didactic material. Use of the dictionary. Pick a words. Find a word, similar words. Remember, English is very simple. English, it is not difficult. You know English. You know 100 and millions words, but you can say to your students, English, you have to write the English in some way, but you have to pronounce different. You can say, me llamo Silvia, but in English it's the same, but you can change the pronunciation. Sylvia, my name is Sylvia. We have 100 million words that are similar. You can find at the dictionary, on the dictionary. Expected learning, a conceptual map, recognition of the student progress, motivated. Teaching the 4 English competencies, listening, speaking, writing, and reading. Measuring learning with a simple evaluation. Remember, simple evaluation. A strategy of teaching by having the student learning to learn in an autodidactic, self-taught way. Playing video games, watching television, videos, pictures, movie, comics, YouTube, listen music, watching videos, and other things. Methodology. What's the methodology you can use with your student? Teach English audiolingual. You can communicate a natural approach. What technique you can use to teach English? Dialogue, dramatization, read text, write exercises, dictation, using teaching resources, like mentioned before, games, lottery, bingo, songs, use of ludic material. Remember, English is fun. Use programs, videos, games. This is an example. This is in Spanish, the technical evaluation to your students. You have a lot of things, a lot of resources to evaluate your English class. You can use 100 and millions digital resources you have with your students. This is some of them: Google Meet, Skype, YouTube, Duolingo, Google Classroom, WhatsApp, and other application and digital resources. What others digital resources you can have? This is the link. These are the links that you can use to your student. You can recommend it, and they have to learn English by themselves. Okay? PDF, Escape, Canva, Flipgrid, Make Graphic Worksheet. There are different resources, videos, assignment, etc. Here's some pages: interactive activities, interactive games, flashcard presentation. Well, you have a lot of resources, English resources. You have a lot of links in YouTube. Aprende en Casa, but the CEP, Aprende en Casa is one of the resources. I hope you enjoy with your students, with your English class. Have a nice day. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna finish the presentation with third grade. This is oral presentation, which is interpret and expresses information published in various media. Remember that in third grade, we're using the 2011 program, not the 2017 program. Third grade is 2011 program right now, okay? The competency is share emotions and reactions caused by a TV program. We have 4 achievements there. And let me give you some activities that you can do with your students. For example, ask them, what is your favorite TV show? What is it about? Can you describe the show? Do they have some visual or sound effects? How does the program make you feel? Okay, that's very important. And it's also related to the social emotional education. Hector Villegas was speaking about at the first stage of this presentation. And what is the context of the show? Okay, another thing you can do in activities is to make a brainstorm. Okay, what's your favorite show? And then all the students participate and give you the names of their favorite show. They can talk about the genre they have. Is it a comedy? Is it a thriller? Is it a sitcom? What type of genre is it? It's pronounced rather awkward, genre, but it's because it comes from a French word, okay? You can do a class survey as well, okay? Who's your favorite, what's your favorite kind of TV show? In a class survey, questions, and go around, mingle, and the students can answer the questions made by their classmates as well. You can talk about the settings, the where and the when does the show take place. Is it in the present? Is it in the past? Is it in the future? Perhaps some of them like programs that are from the future, okay? They can talk about the relationships of the actors, of the speech and the feelings, okay? If the actor is feeling sad, how does he express it in the speech form, okay? etc. Okay. Then we have another social practice of the language, which is to participate in language games to work with specific linguistic aspects. In this case, it's called memory game. The game is memory game, but the product will be a memory game, but you can do other games as well, not only a memory game, okay? And we have four achievements for this social practice of the languages, which is compare sentences with or without irregular verb forms, classify sentences according to their verb tense, use perfect tenses and simple past in sentences and text, and write and dictate sentences with irregular verbs. So what can we do there? Well, we can do games like this, a memory game. Suppose it's a memory game. The memory game will be, you flip one card and it's the past form of the verb eat, ate. And they have to look another card that has the present form of the verb eat. So one card is eat and the other one is ate. Or you can play with past and past participle, ate and eaten, only with irregular verbs. That's one way to work. Now, another thing you have to take into consideration is like the rules of the game, okay? How many cards, how will you work with them, okay? So the students can do like how to play with the game, okay? Because our students are so creative that they are going to invent their own games. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. You know, I know what I'm talking about. Another game will be like a twister, okay? You can use twister. If you divide the group in teams, you can, some would come up with memory game, with stick with memory game. Another team will be like, no, I don't like memory game. I want to do another more like hands-on, okay? I will do a twister. And in one circle of the twister, it's drive. And the other part, on another circle with twister, it has the verb driven. So they have to match drive with driven or drove with driven. Okay, and they put their hand on the one that it says drive and the other hand or their foot on the other place where it says driven and so on. This is with twister. And I've seen the game played by students in secondary. Another one will be if they use in physics the electric circuit, they can do with the electric circuit and they put a list here of verbs and then a list here of verbs. And with a gadget like this, they put drive with driven. And a green light appears. That's because you've done it correctly. But if they do drive with ate, drive and add it with a sensor with ate, and it flashes red. So you do that with electrical circuits. And our students do it, believe me, they do it. Okay? Now let's go to the ontology report of historical events. The social practice will be read and rewrite informative text from a particular field, okay? So the specific competence is writing a short report about a historical event, any historical event, okay? As I said before on my first grade presentation, here we have that they have to find the main idea of a passage, identify the topic, summarize, check the first and last sentence, look for repetitions of ideas, okay, as I said before, all right? Write simple and complex sentences, okay, for the description of the historical event. So they have to write like a report, a short report of the historical event. What happened first? What happened then?
okay? You have to use a lot of WH words. What should go first? What's the chronological order? What was the outcome? What would you like to write about? Okay. They have to do it of the historical event they prefer to work with, not the one you assign, but that part of the history they would like to express in English. Okay. What can you do? Well, first of all, they have to research. Okay. They have to research on the topic they want to present to you. Then they can do a timeline. A timeline is like a thing that, well, you know what a timeline is, but it's like a way to organize our students, okay, with the timeline. They put, like, for example, if they want to talk about independence, or if they want to talk about COVID-19, how did it begin? Well, it began 2009, December, China, okay? And then we go March 2020, Mexico, and they put the number of cases, something like that, okay? And they continue on now to nowadays, okay? A timeline is a way so they can organize themselves, and then they can write the paragraph describing all the events, okay? 2011, it appeared first in China. The virus 19, COVID-19, blah, 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 blah. And then on March 2020, it appeared in Mexico. Monterrey got its first case in the last days of March, et cetera, okay? So doing a draft is also important. Doing a draft of the report they have to give you is essential. In the first draft, they can let another peer or just take a picture so another team can look at the way they are presenting the historical event and give them a checklist so they can correct capital letters. So if they find some mistakes, they can give it back to their peers with the checklist so they can arrange it, so they can correct them and do more good job on their book report, okay? The title of does it have a title? That's one thing that they have to mention. You have to mention on the checklist, okay? You can use camera, take snapshots, okay? If you don't want them to take the notebook, okay? Because of COVID-19, you can take pictures and send it through email or through the platform, Google Classroom, send it to the right team, and so on. Then we have the fourth product, which is the testimony. The social language practice of the language is understand and produce oral exchanges related to leisure situations. They have to speak about things they like to do in their free time, in their spare time. Okay, so what can you do? You can give them a graphic organizer, put them 5 squares. They can draw scenes from a testimony from the unexpected situation that happened to them, okay? And they draw first, they draw second, they draw on the third rectangle, they draw on the fourth rectangle, and on the fifth rectangle. Now they have all the actions. Now, okay, now you have the action. Okay, now let's write a sentence describing the first picture, and then the second one, and then the third one, and the fourth, and the fifth. After they got that thing covered, first, the sequence of events, then writing the description of what happened first, then next, and then on the next thing, what happened next. Then let them put connectors. Remember we were speaking about connectors in first grade? Well, we're continuing to work with connectors on this, on third grade. Add the connectors, they start acting. Now, remember that we spoke about adverbs on first grade? Why don't we add some adverbs? Suddenly, I found the cat. Suddenly, my dog appeared. Okay, so they use the ly adverbs. And they are growing up. The sentence is not just a simple one, but with the connectors and the adverbs, the sentence getting bigger, putting the when and the where and when, the time, last month, okay? Adding those kinds of words will make the sentence more complex. Remember that we mentioned simple questions, simple sentences and complex sentences in our last social practice of the language. Well, we can continue working with that today, right now. Another thing we can add, they can ask the questions to each other. Like if they do the testimony, you can give them the testimony to another one, or they present the testimony orally, which is the main aim. You can ask your students, if you didn't understand, ask some questions for the students, or they can help conveying meaning by putting a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation on the back, so they can see the scenes they draw, okay? So when they are speaking, the audience can understand what is it about, okay? Our students can understand what is it about, all right? And that is the last one we see on testimony. Before we finish up, I would like to note this. None of the images used in this presentation belongs to the speakers, to us. It doesn't belong to us of this PowerPoint presentation, and they were used only with educational purposes. Now, I would like to thank you for your attention and hope to see you soon. Before we finish, I would like to tell you that Ms. Rivas, Doctora Anastasia Rivas, is going to talk to you right now. Oh, this is the QR code that you will have to scan so you can register your attendance. Please do it so we can have that information. Thank you very much. And Dr. Rivas.
Sí, vamos a agradecer nada más la presencia de todos los maestros de inglés y solamente finalizar con una felicitación a la Academia de Inglés por haber desarrollado esta segunda etapa de asesoría. A todos ustedes, maestros de inglés, que son los presidentes de Academia de Zona y presidentes de Academia de Escuela, solicitarles atentamente que toda la información que recibieron ahora de primero, segundo y tercero de secundaria y todas las estrategias que recibieron, las compartan con sus compañeros. Es importante que todo esto llegue a todos nuestros compañeros de inglés que están ahí frente a los grupos. Y justamente quiero agradecerles esto y en nombre de la doctora Sofía y Leticia Morales Garza, de la licenciada Norma Patricia Sánchez Regalado y del profesor José Sigel Rodríguez Calderón, darles las gracias por estar enlazados a estas actividades tan importantes de asesoría. Les deseo lo mejor. Saluden con mucho cariño a sus alumnos. Por favor, ahí denles las palabras necesarias para que permanezcan y terminen sus estudios de educación básica. Y desde el departamento técnico les damos a ustedes de veras un saludo muy respetuoso y estaremos pendientes de todas las acciones que sigan desarrollando por allá. Todas las preguntas y todo lo que ustedes en un momento dado quieran realizar a los compañeros, háganlo a través del QR que les acaban de compartir por ahí, establezcan todas sus dudas y estamos para servirles. Muchas gracias a todos y cuídense mucho. Dios los bendiga.